the retired old school gangster, just wants to have a reunion dinner with his family. But he's drawn to the door by a sudden ring of the doorbell.
Hey!
A pitch-black gun barrel emerges from the cigarette smoke, followed by the cold face of a hitman. In the blink of an eye, he massacres the entire family of 4. Seeing the man's face blown to pieces, he takes a sharp axe and cuts off the man's finger as proof. In the prison, a cop carries an ice bucket and hands over the severed finger to the mob boss behind the scenes. The henchman retrieves the severed finger from the ice and gives it to the boss to confirm the fingerprint using ink. But after careful comparison, they realize the hitman killed the wrong target.
It wasn't him.
Even though they're in jail, they come and go as if on vacation. The henchman immediately contacts the hitman, ordering him to continue searching for the boss's enemy. However, the real assassination target, Old Boo, has already moved his entire family to France. Their family has a fierce reputation. Even their dog is covered in tattoos. Though they've decided to live ordinary lives, their underworld habits are hard to shake off. After seeing off their 2 kids, the wife decides to go to the supermarket to buy some peanut butter. Little did she expect that the snobbish French would not only mock her for not knowing how to cook, but also escalate it to regional discrimination. Calling Americans tasteless, the wife becomes furious on the spot. In a fit of anger, she grabs the fuel and gas canisters from the shelves and dumps them all into the warehouse, then lights a match. Her husband, Old Boo, just wanted to quietly write his memoir. When he discovers that all the water pipes in the house are dirty, he calls a plumber to fix it. But this guy not only shows up 40 minutes late, but also demands double the labor. So in a fit of rage, he beats the guy up, leaving him with 12 fractures. Then kindly sends him to the hospital.
So how do you explain the 12? I don't know, Doctor. I'm a writer.
On the daughter's first day at school, she gets targeted by a few local thugs. They lie saying they want to escort her home, but instead take her to the outskirts. They lay out a tablecloth planning to gang up on her until the police pulled back to reality. He also stretched out his salted pig hand and hooked off the shoulder strap with a smile.
Super!
One go help him. You go. Compared to those 3 grumpy killing stars, the youngest son is the only intellectual bear, only because of being beaten and blackmailed by school bullies. He began his revenge plan. First, to bribe the student bully with limited cards. Use another task answer to win over the craziest student. Finally, in the name of the student bully, he asked out the group of school bullies
To pay them protection
Hello,
money?
have you brought the protection fee?
No, my father forbids me to borrow money.
You asked me to come here to tell me that.
Not to reward you with this. Waiting for my daughter to get home in a gangster's car. My brother has become the new school bully. The family ended a bad day together.
Lao Wu also asked with concern.
How are you today?
Very good.
That is good. The family was just about to eat that night. A policeman came to visit outside the door, although the family's atrocities were not revealed. But the police still reminded them to pay attention to convertants. It turns out that Old Brown is the second in command of the mafia. People do things have their own set of rules under his graced management. Even thieves dare not steal on sight. Even the police on the turf give him 3 points of thin face. However, because the work of the high cover made his prestige gave the boss the idea of killing him. In order to protect himself, the old man gave up on the job. Report the entire mafia family. Even accepted the supervision and protection of the police.
Every move has to be approved by the sheriff.
Do you know what will happen to your family if they find you?
Your job is not to let that happen, right?
Don't make my job harder. In order to better integrate into the local, the wife decided to invite the neighbors over for a barbecue. As the head of the family, Liao Bu cooks himself. John was ridiculed by neighbors for poor quality of charcoal. Look at the mocking smiles of the neighbors. Lao Bu's face suddenly changed. Only then did he realize that what he had done under the watchful eyes merely he could no longer act as freely as before. After seeing the policeman off at the door, he suddenly felt that things couldn't go on like this. So he went alone to the water department, hoping to resolve the sewage issue at home. But the other party kept stalling, which almost made Old Bu explode with anger on the spot. When he arrived at the downstream of the river, he finally got a clue from a farmer. There's a fertilizer plant upstream that's dumping waste illegally. That's the source of the water pollution. Without wasting any time, Old Babu found the boss of the fertilizer plant, politely stating his request.
I didn't want to bother you. But when I turn on the tap in my kitchen, brown water comes out. I don't want brown water. I want clean water. You can buy bottled water.
Old Bu's smile froze instantly. The next moment, he drove his car to the outskirts, and that arrogant fertilizer plant owner had already been dragged several kilometers away by him.
One thing I hate is being interrupted while speaking. So let me ask you again, and I suggest you listen carefully. When I turn on the faucet, brown water comes out. I don't want brown water. I want clean water. So what can you do for me?
Turbine?
Turbine?
Yes. Pumper, shut it off.
Where is the turbine?
Close to the water tower, number 5.
Alright.
However, as soon as the water pollution issue was resolved, his daughter fell into the troubles of puppy love. On the very first day of transferring schools, his daughter had already taken a liking to a melancholic math teacher. She often used after-class questions as an excuse to find opportunities to be alone with the teacher. His wife noticed the daughter's unusual behavior and reminded her in a knowing tone.
Well, at least you know how to use condoms, right?
Mom, what? What do you think we can do in the school or the study room?
So what?
Desire ignites easily, darling. There's never a perfect time or place. Take your father, for example. Our first time was in a church. The last place I'd want to lose my virginity. I am not like you, Mom. I'm gonna choose the time, the place, and it's love of my life.
Yet, the daughter never had the courage to confess her love. Her math grades, however, improved a lot. Until this day, she heard that the teacher was moving to Paris. Only then did she gather the courage to hint a few words. She boldly locked the classroom door. The next second, she took off her coat. Even if the teacher was slow to catch on, he now understood the girl's meaning. That night, Old Bu looked very satisfied, not noticing the daughter's smile at all. The phone rang once, and she rushed to answer it like lightning. However, it was just a neighbor on the other end, inviting Old Bu to the community movie screening.
We meet once a month to discuss films. I must say, there happens to be an American writer visiting Cholong's. Seems like a perfect chance for us to revisit American classic. And I found a movie that suits you perfectly.
Finally, having a social opportunity, Odaba naturally didn't want to miss it. He invited the police officer into his house. After much persuasion, he finally convinced the officer to let him attend. Unaware that the crime boss had already found their location. It turns out the teacher learned that his youngest son was American, so he asked him to write a pun-filled story in English. The youngest son thought quickly, and suddenly remembered a joke the crime boss told him when he was young.
If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me.
The youngest son immediately expanded the joke into a story. It was soon printed in the school journal. These journals were mass-printed. Champa became extremely popular among the citizens. A civil servant brought the journal on a plane during a business trip. Kendo traveled across the ocean. The janitor picked it up while collecting garbage. The journal was then sent to the recycling station. A thug friend used it to wrap wine bottles while making drinks for casually wrapping them with the journal. Thus, after passing through many hands, the journal eventually ended up in front of the crime boss, and the English story inside quickly caught his attention.
If it's good enough for you, I also think it is good enough. Go comb her ass.
That day, the youngest son was called to talk by the principal. The serious scene made him instantly nervous. The principal first acknowledged his grades, but the next second he pulled out more than 20 complaint letters, whether it was bribing teachers or extorting classmates. Each one was enough to get him expelled.
I want to see my lawyer.
On the other side, Odabo only used a dummy and successfully tricked the watching cops. Then he went alone to the area near the water pump and directly installed a timed bomb. His daughter waited at home for a long time. Finally, she received a call from her teacher. Unexpectedly, the guy didn't even want to confirm their relationship. He just considered their last passionate encounter a mistake. She hung up the phone and cried alone for a long time. Odabo had no idea about any of this. He simply brought the police along to rush to the gathering. Unexpectedly, as soon as they settled down, they learned that today's screening was a gangster movie. As the title slowly appeared, a faint glimmer shone in Odabo's eyes, as if he could see himself reflected in the story of the movie. On the other side, the youngest son had just returned home and started packing his bags non-stop. Because of all the accusations made by the principal against him, he decided to go to Paris and carve out a new life. His father started adventuring alone at 13. Now at 14, he doesn't seem too young. Until the end of the movie, Odabo still couldn't snap out of the story. He was invited to sit on the stage to tell the neighbors stories about the mafia. Though he deliberately concealed his identity, he couldn't help but mention
In the opening scene, there's a man on the left, yellow shirt, sitting on a chair. He's a real gangster. A cold-blooded killer. Yeah, you can see him on Hester Mob Street. Every morning he drinks coffee. He's been like this since he was young. His father beat him up, kicked him out of the house. He endured countless attacks. And that wasn't me. The origin of the killer instinct. You suffer so much even though you don't care. At the age of 12, his kid had what they call struggles and controversies. A neighbor's child. A chain reaction. They beat him with sticks, wanting to kill him. He put his hand in cold water to conceal the fear brought by his first murder.
The youngest son is sitting at a station. A black mole on his face resembles his father when he was young. However, after the train arrives, a whole team of men in suits steps off. Each one of them looks fierce just by their presence. You know they're not good people, and the last one to step off the train is none other than the killer who has been hunting the family. The son immediately realizes who they are, folds his head, avoiding eye contact until they turn the corner, then hurriedly calls home. Unexpectedly, no one answers despite it ringing for a long time. The sister is standing on top of the church roof, making her final call to the teacher. She originally planned to prove her love by jumping off, but unexpectedly, as she looks down, she happens to see the arrival of the killer. They arrive at the nearby police station, efficiently shooting all the officers, then use the police computer to accurately find Odabo's address. Their deployment is meticulous, fearing missing any member of Odabo's family. Who would have thought that? As soon as the midnight bell tolls, the water pump explodes violently. Odabo just wanted to punish the fertilizer plant, but unexpectedly triggered a series of accidents. The police rush to investigate the explosion, leaving Odabo to enter the house alone. His wife is about to return home when she sees the killers gathering nearby. She hides in the room used by the police for surveillance, crying and begging for help, but the killers have already surrounded the house. They carry rocket launchers, planning to wipe out their targets completely.